Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. It's Jack Chow on the ICT TV from the East to the West. From East to West, we cover everything. Of course, we cannot do a day job without covering what's happening around us. Namely, in California, we are working on a day-to-day basis very hard to improve the state by all means. Thanks to our small business and the business owners, big or small, who are working very hard towards the common goal. And yet, we have common enemies. I use the enemy, I don't want to quote in it. I just want to call enemy because they are strangling the small business and small business. That is those crazy laws, right? So in order to fight, we have lots of people from all angles doing the job, including me myself, right? Today I have brought you, my dear friend, my lovely audiences, two of the glorious and bravest fighters. On my right-hand side is Suzanne Self. She is a producer of Zen Pictures. They are doing something later on exposed to you. And to her right-hand side is my old friend. I'm not using that many old because she doesn't look old. But you know, to the relationship we go many years. So by that means we are quote unquote old friends. Marianne Maloney, she is the regional director of CALA, California Citizen Against Law Abuse, a beautiful organization that I was involved at day one.
That's right.
I have been involved since day one.
That's
so
right.
To both of you, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You've been here many times, right? Sue's for the flu's the first time or second time, right? So I would like to start with her first, with a self-introduction, with the introduction about the Zen Pictures, and of course, you want to announce what you want to do.
Thank you. Like you said, my name is Susan Self, and I am a producer at Xenon Pictures, and that is a film company in Los Angeles. It has been in existence about 25 years. And our current project, which brings me here today, is a documentary that we're doing on Proposition 65, California's Proposition 65. And if your viewers don't know, that is a law which requires labeling on products that contain certain chemicals that are supposedly dangerous. And the reason we wanted to do this documentary, there are two reasons. One is the director, who has been on your show, Lee, was interested in doing a documentary where businesses are shown in a positive light, because in many movies, the businessman or woman is the villain. And he thought that businesses didn't get the positive, feedback that they, let me fix that, didn't get the positive appearance, any sort of positive appearance, that they were always just kind of tricking their customers or their shareholders. And the second reason we chose this documentary is when you look at all the documentaries around, there's a lot of repetition. People seem to make documentaries on the same topic again and again. And we noticed that film reviewers are getting bored, and distributors like television stations that are looking for documentaries, were saying, please tell us something we don't know.
All right.
Tell us a story that has not been told. And I can definitely say that the story of Proposition 65 has never been told. It's rarely covered by the media. CALA does their best to bring it in front of the public, but the whole bounty culture that kind of enforces Prop 65, most Californians have no idea it exists. And they also do not know about the shakedowns that are a big part of Prop 65 enforcement.
All right. Thank you very much for taking that kind of position and bringing us some stories never been told, right? That is brand new. So, Marianne, what's your involvement here, please?
Well, I'm the regional director of Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse, and yes, we go way back from day one, and I've been with the organization 20 years. And it's an uphill fight, but because of the opportunity to come and share our message on shows such as yours, I know that your viewers get interested and active, and they call their legislators and they share their stories. And those are the type of outcomes we want to have from doing these opportunities. So thank you very much. And most of our supporters with Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse, of course, are business owners. And the business owners that we know from Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse are hardworking. This little business, it's obvious, runs their whole family. If it wasn't for this whole business, they wouldn't probably have their house. Their children wouldn't be, able to go to school and have things to help them advance. The business is their livelihood. Because they do not really have a lot of money, they make good money, but not a lot of it. They are targets of shakedown lawsuits because they're not going to fight them. If somebody comes after them with a Proposition 65 lawsuit alleging that a product wasn't properly labeled, for example, a settlement could be as much as $60,000 to $80,000 for not having a simple $40 sign. Nobody's ever warned, hey, you might want to go get the sign, get 2 weeks, put it up, problem solved. But they target these types of people because they know that they will settle. And that's why the documentary is a good opportunity for us to get the message out there in other ways for other people to see it. Because Proposition 65, with the new regulations that were just taking place in August, is going to get worse.
Okay, good. You mentioned the signs, and the signs. So I happen to have some signs collected from 7-Eleven. All right. My dear audience, this is my pleasure. I would like to seriously and solemnly share these signs with you. How about that? Right. One of them says, consuming rice. You know rice? R-I-C-E? Rice? That's something we all grow upon. And the rice products can expose you to chemicals leading to arsenic, which is a rare content of heavy metal, something, right? So on and so forth, which is known to the state of California to cause cancer and the birth defects or other reproductive harm. So stop eating rice and the rice product. Eat what? Okay, now let's pick something. Probably you think about roasted nuts. Right? Now, no. This one says, consuming roasted nuts can expose you to chemicals including, I do not even read this word, which is known to the state of California. The state of California knows everything. To cause cancer and the birth defects or other reproductivity harm, whatever. Now, okay, what else can we eat? Let's eat baked and fried peanuts. How about that? Right? So no. It says, this one says, okay, let me show you the front, all right? Right? Okay, now, I'm not faking it. And this one, right? Consuming bacon and fried plant, like those cabbage or something, such as chips or pieces, can expose you to chemical including, or the same thing,
Acrylamide.
which acrylamide, which is known to the California smart state to cause such and such. What else can we eat? Let's see. Oh, but the nut butters. Consuming nut butters can expose you to chemicals including known to the state of California to cause See? Black and white. Many food and beverages can have linings containing bisphenol, a chemical known to the smart state of California to cause harm to female reproductive system, so on and so forth. No, it's not forbidden, okay? And then there are only 7 of them. Okay, now anyway, if I go all over this, I have to cancel the show, right? Okay, now, my whole point is that to you, all right, now, I do not know your educational background. I can tell you mine. I have no legal background. I have no chemistry background. I have nothing as a background to say about. What makes me to act strongly is common sense. Common sense number one, I eat rice. My mom did, my father did, my grandfather did, their grandfather did, their grandfather did. So none of them died of anything. For productivity, they produce me. That's an evidence. That's a living evidence, right? And I keep on producing. I have sons and grandsons. So we all eat rice and the rice products. Is this a bull? I hate to use anything else, right? So now, that is why we chose a position. If I may use a quote from James Su, who founded this organization, EDI, who offers a platform for us to play, right? Says, as media, we play neutral most of the time. As to black and white, we'd rather choose to be responsible media. Responsible media. Responsible media, meaning if I read his mind right, is that to think rationally, right? To think by common sense. This is going against common sense. Okay, if nobody eats this, so how about the business, small business, who makes this? Where do they go? Your take?
Well, they're not going to be around because if they get hit with a $60,000 settlement or an $80,000 settlement, what's going to happen when people are hit with lawsuits? They have to come up with the money. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how many people just might have that amount of money that they can take out of their account to pay for this. So sometimes they have to start letting people go. And if they start to let people go, then the company is less efficient. It's all part of that gross domestic product that everybody talks about, and the economy seems to get a little smaller and people have less money to spend. So it does have a ripple effect on the economy when a small business or anybody in the community is hit by these types of
Not
suits.
a ripple effect, it's an explosive effect. Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's take a short moment out. When we come back to continue, we'll probably check with the producer point of view, see why they produce it and what would happen to California if nobody works towards that direction. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. As a matter of fact, it's the discussion of something so crazy that's been going on in California that we are not aware of. I'm very sorry that it's such a big thing. We yet do not get the bottom line of it. So we are totally benighted of what's been going on ever since. Okay, in most of the cases we say, okay, you break the law, you go to jail. All right? Okay, that's rule number one from day one. And till today, it's still the same thing, hopefully. All right. What if the lawmakers make laws, they fail to make the sensible laws, reasonable laws, or make laws that go in totally against the economy, against the democracy, against even humanity, though? Who goes to jail? That's my point. All right. Today, we're talking about it. What those signs explain to you, we're talking about Proposition 65, California Proposition 65, that says of the 900 chemicals, more than 900 chemicals, that it may contain in your product. For example, my cell phone. If I am a producer, I'm a dealer, I'm whatsoever of a cell phone, though, I have to tell you, oh my God, I have a ring, an extra ring, that's extra burden. This metal ring in the back, though, what it can include as element whatsoever in the ring as metal or with the paint, right? And the cover and everything, I have a label. So far, we can say this guy who makes the cell phone goes to jail already, or have a fine already because I don't see a sign. right? Suppose if they did have a sign though, do I have a cell phone or a pack of signage? So that's the thing we're talking about. Okay, now, for a phone looking good or bad is one thing. For California, small business, I'm a donut business owner, all right? With this, nobody eats donut, so where am I supposed to go? I want to shut down. So now, from your involvement and your involvement, by the way, let's go back with a little more introduction. Suzanne Self is the producer of Zenon Pictures, which is a big producer in Hollywood for 25 years. And Marianne Maloney, she is the regional director of CALA, California Against Law Abuse, for more than 10 years, right? Right. More than 10 years. So, in other words, at least for more than 10 years, people in California are fighting against law. It is not law abuse itself. The legislators are making crazy laws. Those are one more step, right? So, okay, now, at the moment when you decided to go with the picture, the documentary that you decided to shoot to let people know what's going on, did you consult any attorneys, take their opinions?
Yes, we interviewed quite a few defense lawyers who could explain to us what their clients were going through and how confused their clients were when they got a notice saying that they weren't in compliance. And what the attorneys would emphasize is that most business owners have no idea that this law, first of all, exists and that they might, be required to put up a sign. Most businesses that get caught by surprise think, I'm a clothing store or I sell glass goods, I sell sporting goods. I thought Prop 65 was just for paint stores or, a chemical, supply store. And so when they get this notice, they're just totally shocked. They had no idea. Now, sometimes people will hear about Prop 65 and they're kind of business owners and they're wondering, well, I wonder if I should be, educating myself. So they go and they try and learn more about whether, their business needs to put up some signs or to check out chemicals. And it is so confusing. No one ever knows if they're doing it right. And what the lawyers emphasize is the state does not educate business owners as to what the requirements are. And you are kind of left on your own. And the language on the website, according to the lawyers, is confusing for lawyers. The lawyers were telling us, I don't even know half the time.
Lawyers do not know
what is really meant. And so if a lawyer who specializes in Proposition 65 says it's confusing, you can imagine how a business owner feels.
I mean, business owners are running their business. It took them a lifetime to create the business and all their energy to make sure it keeps going and to keep their customers happy and keep their employees employed and pay their taxes and do all the right things. Nowhere in their right mind has anybody ever thought that they need to be analyzing the outcomes of the California State Legislature and what bills are going to impact them and ones that are not, because most of them do enact new regulations that only set businesses up for a lawsuit. So unless you're a really big company and you have 10 people in your human relations department that is all analyzing legislation, then you might be okay. But if you're a small business, you don't really have an extra staff person that you can employ to take on that kind of responsibility, and that's how they get caught.
All right, understood. And she happened to mention something very important, says education. She used the word education, right? If we would use the word education, though, we would also want to use the word education for educating our people to understand you have the right to fight against crazy laws, right? You obey the laws only when they are legit, when they make sense. Right? Now, where's my dear rice? Yes, label. Okay, now, when somebody make a law tell you do not eat rice. Why? Because rice may contain some element that may lead known to the smart state of California to cause cancer. We need to educate people. This is a big bull. I can say this is a big bull because, like I said, my grand, I use more than 20 grand, right? To my ancestors all the way. And the best result that you see me, you know this failed. The fact you see me, meaning they failed, right? Well, and the fact you see my grandson, you know that they fail even more devastatingly. So now, when you do education though, please pack that party in. Don't forget her coffee story. So, how about coffee?
With you and rice, it's me and coffee. Same thing with coffee. The state says that when coffee beans are roasted, acrylamide is processed, and that could cause cancer. Well, like you with rice, with me with cancer, I should have been gone a long time ago because I drink a lot of coffee. I love it. I don't exist without it. But just last spring, a judge ruled in favor of the plaintiffs that coffee had to be labeled as causing cancer. Acrylamide.
Yeah, that's what we see. The other day I was in Starbucks.
Yes.
I see a big sign saying that drinking coffee might contain whatsoever. Let's do something. Let's go to the National Archives or Museum of History to find out since when coffee was discovered.
Well, this kind of goes back to your comments about rice, because there was so much public outcry when the judge ruled in favor of the plaintiffs that coffee could cause cancer, that that lawsuit, I mean, it's not stopped, it's not going forward, but it's on hold. The Office of Environmental Health Hazard and Assessment, the government agency that oversees Proposition 65, is now having hearings on if coffee causes cancer or not.
Can you read this, please? A little bit.
Warning, chemicals known to the state of California can cause cancer and reproductive toxicity, including acrylamide, are present in coffee, baked goods, and other food or beverages sold here. Yeah.
So we better quit. Okay, now, for me, the only way that proves me being here for 34 years is that I'm a big consumer of coffee. And the other thing that proves me I'm a Chinese American is that I eat a lot of rice. So now I have both sides gone. I can't do a thing now, right? A funny story. The other day I came across something saying that eating shrimp with beer, because beer contains something of whatever element, right, can cause death. And I checked with my friend who is a chief research of her lab, and the conclusion was that you have to eat 150 pounds of shrimp. Now, we can go through the legislation, make a laws like this. We can stop shrimp consumption. Am I right? So, and this is going nowhere, my dear friend. And remember, the big name is Proposition 65. 65, okay. And for that, we had a discussion. We had a forum back in March, right? And lots of people get so angry about it, they are putting their leaves out, going for a fight. Let's join the fight. Let's join. By the way, we thank the fact that Xenon Picture gets involved. Give my best regards to Lee, and he is my good friend, and for having decided to do that, that's a big move. Let's take a short moment now. We come back. We have a lot more to talk about. Poor Californians, we are locked up. We're locked up head to toe. Stay with us. Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to the discussion on the East-West show. Jack Chow, your host with GETV and also with ICTTV. We have friends. Well, our growth, our rapid growth during the back years exactly indicated that how much support we have. We support each other. It's a community. It's a community work that we got to support each other so that we together we grow. We grow one thing for sure. We grow on rice, on coffee, because we drink coffee. We eat rice, right? I'm joking. Anyway, so now I discovered this issue, this whole issue, is not only in the area of lawmaking or legislature or whatsoever, or even court involvement. It is more getting entertaining. Some of the stories are very entertaining. Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely. There was so much public outcry when coffee was, when they ruled that coffee had to be labeled, that the whole lawsuit against the coffee industry, coffee roasters, mom and pop coffee shops, restaurants, anybody that sold coffee is on hold. It doesn't mean that it's not going to move forward or it's going to go away. It's just on hold for now because the federal government got involved because they claimed that the science used in the ruling was not real science. It was dubious science. The World Health Organization came out. The American Cancer Society came out. And they said that their research showed that in some instances, coffee can help prevent cancer, liver cancer, kidney cancer, Parkinson's disease. So what are you supposed to do? And the poor rat or mouse that they go and test this stuff on probably gets 100 times more the amount of acrylamide than anybody's ever going to have in their whole lifetime.
Okay.
No wonder why it's, it's in the situation it is. But what's important for your viewers is that, especially if they're business owners, is that we and business owners have to operate in a stable environment. Now, the lawsuit that was brought against the coffee roasters goes back to 2010. If they're sued at $2,500 a day for not being properly labeled for all these years, 8 years, how much money is that going to be? I mean, is that going to, wipe out the whole economic vitality of California? I mean, it's really going to have, like you said, a devastating impact. People will lose their jobs. People who are working are going to be making less that work for these coffee roasters and others, and it impacts everybody. And they have to operate in stable environments. They have to be able to expect what's going to come. They can't operate and one day hit, a $500,000 or $1 billion lawsuit for not having a label on a cup of coffee.
I have a real common sense point to make, right? My dear audience, most of the time you don't have to go to school to pay high fees to get higher education for whatsoever that common sense can tell you. All right. What I want to say is a poor coffee thing. The poor coffee thing, right? What has he done to deserve that? What has that coffee done to deserve that? And the poor rat thing going through the test, whatever, only to be proven even smarter, right?
Well, it's not the coffee we have to fear; it's the trial bar.
Yeah. yes. And then the fingers are directly pointed to the legislator, right? This chair, right? That can produce such crazy stuff. You tell me, who can prove that they are not squandering the taxpayers' money by making nothing?
I wanted to just follow up about how much mockery was made after the coffee decision. We think, as documentary filmmakers, we think that the coffee decision was kind of like the bounty hunters went too far because it brought a storm of editorials like in the Los Angeles Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, just mocking California and saying, okay, this is enough. And the Wall Street Journal even said, why doesn't California just put a warning sign on the sun? Because, why not? It causes cancer. And so I think that this outcry about how absurd this was probably had a little bit to do with the decision being put on hold, because I know the phones were ringing.
It backfired.
All right.
Right?
So yes. You remember we used to joke a lot with those cases. Remember? Right. And remember last time at the conference, the forum, somebody told about the little bucket story. The little bucket story?
Yes.
You tell the story. Can you tell the story?
Well, I believe that she was talking about how she made buckets and it was just the plastic handle that had a problem. And she was sued because the plastic handle had one of the chemicals that the state of California deems could cause cancer. And she closed the business, I believe.
Yeah, she closed that business because she bought the bucket, metal bucket, like the tin metal bucket from abroad, whichever, Mexico or China or Singapore or whatever, I don't know. But only the handle that has a wrap. The wrap about this big, right, is a plastic. Something in the plastic may cause cancer, according to this crazy laws created by the smart state of California. So she had to cancel the shipment coming in, right? She had to cancel the contract that she signed for both. She had to close the business, and yet she has a case. She has to go to court. She has a settlement, I believe settled for $86,000 or something, I believe.
Wow.
Right. So a small, tiny business. Right.
And what's important for your viewers to know is that Proposition 65, if you think, oh, nobody's going to get me, it allows for the private right of action. And what that means, not only in Prop 65, but in other types of legislative bills that have been passed, it allows private citizens to go out and serve as that bounty hunter on behalf of the state of California. So, you know, people can make it their business to go out there and to see what's labeled and what's not.
Why don't we make a little advertising here? Who of those business owners, my dear friend, behind the at the camera, you may call the number on the screen. Try to get a chance to speak in the documentary that Zen and Picture is shooting, right? Oh, you can say, I can tell my own story to testify, something like that. How about that? Right? Sounds good.
Yes,
good.
I mean, that's very good. We appreciate the opportunity to
and
contact you.
we want to put the website there, probably there already, so that you can see that and it's time to go for the party, all right? Because otherwise it's too late. We're gonna all be strangled before we can make a point, right? So, all right, let's take a short moment now. We come back to wrap it up with more information for you. With more jokes and with more entertaining pieces. Stay with us. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to the discussion about crazy laws of California. Namely, we're talking about Proposition 65. I'm not only pointing fingers at Proposition 65 in a state where you can create so many crazy laws, such as AB 109, such as Proposition 47, such as Proposition 57, such as Proposition whatsoever, and the AB 1810, AB 8610, whatsoever, in the criminal area, well, that makes you no doubt to look at this commercial area the same way. And then 65 is the proven fact that those legislators are not using their brain, maybe their knees whatsoever, to think so that they produce this kind of laws. I have no ideas how I go against other warnings, but this one, to stop me eating rice though, I have a big time. I have a big time with it, all right? I have a big time with it. And good news is that there are people fighting against it. We have Kayla, which is a veteran organization in the fight. And we have Zen and Pictures, a famous producer company of Hollywood. We have Suzanne Shelf here, her as a producer, to let you know that we are putting together a documentary with many stories about this nature to tell you how crazy we have been. I would have to borrow a word of corruption. I believe the legislature is corrupted, right? Is corrupt, is heavily corrupted because they are favoring, well, interest groups. Well, if they are not, who can tell me why they are not if you have this, right? So now, tell us stories about how we contact you.
They can talk to you, of course, and then our website is xenonpictures.com. And if you look on the team section, there's me, Susan Self, and please send me an email. We would love to have people tell their stories, be interviewed for the documentary on camera. But if people are uncomfortable being on camera, we would be open to just recording their story, and we could keep them anonymous. I know that people feel very uncomfortable.
Oh, that's why the bucket story lady backed up. That's why.
Okay.
Well, probably we'll talk to her and say, how about we just do audio?
Yeah.
Right?
We won't identify you. We might talk about, say, you live in the San Gabriel Valley. We'll keep it, kind of broad. But we would love to just hear your story. And then we, as they speak, we could show the product that you're talking about instead of your face. We're definitely open to that.
You remember, or do you recall, that at the seminar last time, we asked one gentleman who was on the panel to say, is it right or is it safe to say that Asian Americans are the major targeted?
They do target minority.
And you know the answer,
yes.
the way he was? He says, well, I can't confirm to give you a yes answer, but what I can tell from the cases that has been already dealt with by reading the last names, so, well, those are the last names I can't spell. So that was his answer, right? Now, Asian Americans, typically Chinese Americans, right, who tends to open small business, more, work hard, so on and so forth, to help California, to raise the family, and yet, number one, they do not understand English or do not speak English perfectly, right? Number two, they came from other countries that laws are laws. You do not even have a word to say about laws. If the law says you can do such a thing, they will never touch without asking, right? They are trained that way, so they do not believe that they have a right. So when somebody attacked them with a heavy fine, they would rather say, okay, I'm sorry, I pay. They capitulate, they bow, they pay. I give you this as a resource. You probably want to pick more Asian Americans to ask them how they are victimized. There are a lot. Yeah. So even the last forum, we did a lot, right?
I mean, it's abuse. And the people who bring forth those suits against that community, people who are, new to the country, or the United States is their second country, English is their second language, they know that they are up at 4 a.m. running that business until 8 o'clock at night, and that little business supports their family and their livelihood. And like most other small business owners, they're not looking to see what types of bills or laws are coming out of the state of California that could impact them. They have no idea, yet their intentions are good. Their intentions are to create a business, to support themselves, to participate in the economy, to create jobs, to keep their customers happy. Nowhere do they ever think that they need to label something because it could cause harm. These are all issues of technical non-compliance.
If you're talking about labels, I have to put a label here to tell the pants, right? So, and then I have to put a label to tell the plastic, right? And now so far I have 3 labels already. And then I glue them together, so I have to label the glue. Now I have 4 labels. So when I have 4 labels, do I have a sign ICT? Right?
Let's hope so. Right.
Yeah. So doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And we just have to, like with Susan with the documentary and everything that you're doing to keep the message in front of your viewers, encourage them to join with us at Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse, with Susan and the documentary and your show, to come forward and to share their story with legislators in their offices. Because when that legislator hears the type of abuse that these laws are having on their constituents, hopefully that when new bills come forward, they will support that business over those that will not. Because Prop 65 has been around since 1986. It's nothing new. It's just that the regulations this year are new.
They keep inserting.
And
they keep inserting.
And they're being inserted by a group of state employees called the Office of Environmental Health Hazard and Assessment. And they have a lot of power. And they can continue to go and regulate and create more regulations that's going to impact business, or the power to maybe push back. Because the more regulations out there are going to be bad for California.
Okay, now, sometimes if you are confronted with something that upsets you, that's even okay, because you know something, you know what you're targeting at, you know what you're talking about, right? If you come say, hey, this is white, right? I know either you have a bad eye, or you're crazy, or you purposely make me angry, right? I may choose, hey, come on, I'm not bothering you. I'll just take it easy. The bigger problem is that you do not even know what's about. You're totally confused, right? Now, I believe we have 80 assemblymen and women, right? And we have 40 senators, right? Of this 120 altogether, I believe their brain are much better than mine. How come they would make this the right thing if they are not paid? If there's not group interest involved?
Well, Prop 65 was an initiative passed by voters in 1986, and it supposedly had good intentions to keep our waterways clean from chemicals. But the initiative was sponsored by and written by the trial bar. And since 1986, there's been a lot of these types of lawsuits. It's created a cottage industry for people with a private right of action that allows people to go around and sue business on behalf of the state. And the outcomes that they were hoping for came true. I mean, it's been a cash cow for people looking to sue business under Prop 65.
And there's another way to look at it, is that if we have this kind of cases going on, though, who gets a job, gets the first benefit?
The state of California gets 75% of the settlement.
All right, and who gets the majority of the pay?
The attorneys.
The attorney. And how much would the defense, would the plaintiff get?
Well, millions for attorneys, peanuts for plaintiffs, right?
All right. Okay, now the defense pays the money, right? Defense pays money, 7% goes to the state, and the majority goes to the attorney and the plaintiff themselves, right? So in this plain case, in this assigned case, there is no plaintiff anyway. So they just disperse the money, they are happy. And one business is closed, like the bucket, right? So that's a happy result.
And that business that closed employed people, right? And by employing those people, they all had money to spend, and it keeps the economy growing and vibrant. But now that money is, not happening
it's
anymore.
gone.
It's gone.
There's a happily dead after. So
that's not what we want to have happen.
no, we're talking about, what is confusing. Most confusing part is that on one hand they say, thank God, thank our small business, which is backbone of the economy, and on the other hand they're strangle on the small business. So there you have no way of explaining.
No, and that goes back to your, educate, right? We're hoping that the legislators will hear from us, will hear from your viewers, from your audience to share their story, because as they walk into their new positions, these issues are not easy.
Right.
And they have to hear the impact, the substantial impact that lawsuit abuse is having on the businesses and jobs in California.
Okay, my lovely audience, by now you can see all the information on the screen. Has the website, the telephone number, and everything. Either call or say anything. And you have the website address, you have the email address, you have telephone number and everything. Just a call or send an email or get on the website to tell Sue, I have my stories to testify. And you can, if you feel like it, you can even call me, you can call Marianne and whoever. Let's get involved. My dear folks, my lovely brother and sister, with my dear fellow Californians, it is time. It is high time we went for the party. It's a big party time now. Let's do it. If you don't fight, you do not have a chance to survive. All right, we're over time, but we're happy. Thank you very much, my dear friend. Thank you. And to each of you, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right, good.